Nothing the screen has ever shown before can surpass the thrills of
the Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space podcast.
Created from an atomic fireball hurled from outer space,
The Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space podcast.
threatens man's very existence on Earth.
The Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space podcast.
Battles Godzilla, Mafia, and Rodan for mastery of the world. Men quake before the terror of their unleashed fury. All new, all never to be forgotten. A new high in
Visions from Monsterland. Hello everyone, welcome to Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, and tonight we are bringing you some new Visions from Monsterlands, and of course, I am joined by King Caesar himself, Derek.
Hello there. What's going on, Jerry?
I am so glad you didn't disappoint me there. And we also bring two guys who suspiciously have green marks on their face. I don't know what's going on, but one of them would be the one and only Mr. Venom.
Hello, listeners. Hello, co-hosts. How's everyone doing?
You sound mighty
good.
apish right now. It's very odd. And, of course, we have the Don himself, Don Anelli. How you doing?
Screonk, everyone.
And, as a special, we have our first guest. We searched out there to find someone good. We could not find them, so instead we brought Cort from Cinema Psyops.
I'm glad to know that I was the last or next to last choice when you couldn't find someone good.
You're the only one who responded properly. Everyone else was like, Jerry, go fuck yourself. So
Kaiju, that's for kids. No one wants to talk about that, Jerry.
Yeah, they were like, does anyone get decapitated? I'm like, well, no. They're like, I don't want to do it. And I was like, you're missing out, kids.
Oh, they missed out on this one then.
Yeah,
They
this
did.
is the bloodiest out of all the Godzilla movies, and I don't remember Ultraman being anywhere near as bloody as the episode we watched for this week, too.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's actually really surprising because Edgy Subaraya was pretty against blood in his kaiju stuff, so that was very odd for that Ultraman episode. But with that being said, Cort, why don't you inform us and the listeners, because none of us knew who you are, what you do in this podcast world of ours?
Yeah, well, my flagship show, Cinema Psyops, that's my main show. I do that weekly. It releases every Sunday. And been doing that for coming up on a grand total of 4 years right now. I'm on my fourth year and about halfway through that, give or take, depending upon how you do the numbering system. I go by 52 weeks regardless. Most people will count a calendar year, but even though some years have more than 52, I just go by 52 and then call it a year. I don't know what else other people do for that. That's at Legion Podcast, because I am a proud member of Legion Podcast Network. So legionpodcast.com/cinema-psyops. I also do a side project show. It's not exactly the most reliable thing that we can do because we're so far stretched out across the globe. Like if either of us moves in either direction, we actually are moving closer to one of the other two co-hosts. Because like Witch is in Australia and Boz is in England, and I'm in smack dab in the middle of the country in Omaha, Nebraska. And literally, if I moved like either direction, I'm moving closer to one and further away from the other. I think we have the globe like just kind of split into threes that way. That's Obsessive Cinema Discourse, where it's a little more loose format. We just kind of dig into the film and go over every single little tiny detail that you notice and obsess over, whether it bugs you or you think it was a really cool thing, and just kind of like really get into as much detail as we can about the film and just kind of like rip it apart, but also lovingly talk about the things that we liked and disliked that's going on in the film. And we just try to have fun with that one. We tried to do it monthly, but schedules have been kind of forcing us to make it every now and then whenever we can do it. That's also available on Legion Podcast as well.
And this show you're listening to is currently available on Legion Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously Kill the Cast is on there, which means Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space is on Legion. We don't mess around. We're Legion around here. Except for the other guys on the show. But whatever, me and Cort got this.
Legion for life.
For real. Trying to represent over here. So yeah, definitely check out Cort's shows. One of my favorite ones I listened to was they do pick your own childhood. What's the word y'all use? Childhood.
Bring your own cinematic
trauma.
There it is.
Yep.
Bring your own cinematic trauma. And one of the funniest ones I ever listened to was y'all did TerraVision with someone, and I died. That shit was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that's our boy Chris Cologne from Two Strangers One podcast, and he had a blast with us, and we had a blast with him, and we've been looking to try and find a way to get him back on the show. That was like everything that's in that recording was literally like how we captured it on the day. We didn't go back and do anything, or just kind of like punch it up or whatever. If anything, I had to clean up some of the spots where we're just like laughing hysterically at our own dumb jokes just to make the conversation flow better. Like, it was so much fun to record. And that's actually one of my favorite episodes that we've recorded as well. We had so much fucking fun doing that one.
I
Yeah,
really
it's
enjoyed
one of
when
my
you guys did the Death Wish franchise, like you guys doing those Charles Bronson impersonations. Hey, Pally. Through the whole like series, it was great.
Yeah, that was kind of something our fans were clamoring for, because we have been doing Charles Bronson impersonations here and there. And I stupidly, without even like going back and like checking the films again, was like, we're just going to do all the Death Wish to close out year 3. And Matt's like, all right, that sounds like fun. And then we watched Death Wish 2, and I had flashbacks of everything else in all the other Death Wish movies. And I was like, oh, Matt, we fucked up. We fucked up bad. We're going to be talking about rape and degradation of women for like 6-7 weeks.
That is harsh. But so when we invited Cort on here, I like to, if I'm going to bring someone on, I like to give them the opportunity to pick what they want to do. And I was impressed with what Cort had been doing with the Godzilla stuff on Bo Ransdell's Hero Hero Go show. So I was like, Cort, what do you want to come on here and do? And I swear to you, I was like, this dude is going to pick something non-Godzilla. Because he's doing all the Godzilla stuff on Bo's. So I'm like, all right, here we go. It's time for Dogura. And he was like, I want to do Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And I'm like, really? That's what you want to do? Fucking, aren't you going to do that on Bo's show? And he's like, but I want to get into it. And I was like, okay, well, we'll make it happen. So I expect this episode to be a little bit deeper than we normally go. Or at least Cort's going to talk for 75% of it, which is good, because normally it's me talking way too much. It'll be nice to have someone else talk for way too much.
I feel like I'm going to be in King Caesar's corner taking punches for him and trying to defend him while he just sits there and does nothing for the whole show.
Derek will be there with you. Derek has been all week talking about singing the King Caesar song.
Yeah, but I only know like just the one fucking line because the rest of it's in Asian.
The rest of it's in Asian.
Well, Japanese, you know what I mean.
Or Oriental.
Oh, Christ.
Talking Japanese.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
I'm highly offended. I have to take my snowflake ways and go home.
There is snow in this movie, so I mean, it works out. So yeah, we are talking about 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. This movie holds the first appearance of Mechagodzilla, the only appearance of King Caesar in the Showa period, and the last appearance of Anguirus until like Final Wars, which is really odd because he was so popular, and then they didn't bring him back at all.
I love Anguirus. I think he gets the raw end of the stick on a lot of these, because every time he gets an appearance, he's getting messed up for one reason or another, even if he's taking all the shots to try and keep Godzilla going for other fights.
Yeah, he's either getting his jaw broken or a buzzsaw to the head.
Or something, yeah. It's like Anguirus is like the whipping boy. He's like the jobber wrestler of fucking kaiju, man.
Like when we did fucking Gigan, he was like, Godzilla's like Sherlock Holmes, and he's like ordering Anguirus to go check it out, and he gets attacked by ships and shit.
I know, it's horrible.
Poor Angie. I have an Anguirus right here in front of me. He's hanging out with me, looking at me. He looks like a puppy dog. I like it. So, okay. So we're gonna kick this off with getting into what we love about this movie, and I'm gonna open it up to Cort. Cort, what is one thing you love about this movie?
I like the opening bit where the Mechagodzilla is cloaked to look like Godzilla and is basically trying to wreck shit, and the aliens are trying to pull some kind of sneaky shit. But immediately Anguirus knows what's up and is trying to call the real Godzilla, being like, somebody's pretending to be you. They're stealing your mojo. Kick his ass. You know, I just, the way that intro happens and then the actual reveal of when Mechagodzilla's like metal gets exposed from some of the damage and you know something weird is up. Like the first time you watch that and you really don't know what to expect. That's one of those things where, you know, like seeing it as a kid when it caught me by surprise like that. I'm like, what the hell's that? What's going on here? Godzilla's metal underneath? What's going on?
It's like I should have known that from the title of the movie or something.
In my defense as a kid, I just caught it without even knowing the name of the movie. I just saw Godzilla wrecking shit, and then that was it. Yeah, that's the way I caught most of these films. They all kind of jumble together in my head as a kid, because when I watch them, I end up watching them all pretty much in a row anyway. I just marathon them through from start to end. I just like to do that every now and then, like on a holiday weekend, at least once a year. And so, like, they jumble together that way, too. But watch them as a kid. Like, I get Son of Godzilla and like Godzilla's Revenge and, you know, some of those other ones all mixed up. And you've heard it, Jerry, when we were just kind of, like, messaging back and forth about some of the movies. And you're like, no, that was this movie. I'm like, it is? Oh, shit.
I don't know how you mix up Son of Godzilla and Godzilla's Revenge. One is a piece of shit. And one is Jun Fukuda being just like, I'm just going to have a good time and get paid on this island.
Yeah,
I think it's because a lot of the footage is reused, so I confuse the two of them.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah, but I mean, the reused footage is like wiped into shit first and then put on there. If y'all didn't know, I hate Godzilla's Revenge, a.k.a. All Monsters Attack. I think it's the worst Japanese Godzilla movie ever made.
It's also the first one that I saw, so I kind of give it a little bit of a break for that, you know?
Yeah, well, this ain't a Kit Kat, so we don't give it a break around here.
Yeah. But no, seeing the Mechagodzilla finally get revealed, and then just the kind of look on Godzilla's face where he's just like, oh shit, now this? I really kind of dig it. I don't know. It's one of the things that I enjoy the most.
No, you know what I think about that too, Cort, is when you first see the Godzilla when he's like dressed up as Godzilla still, it kind of makes you kind of jarring experience too, because of you think Godzilla is evil again, because after this point he was a good guy for a while, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? But then when the reveal happens, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, especially considering like the last couple of movies, he's been like a hero and he's been going out of his way to step around buildings when he's fighting, or he draws the monsters away to an island because it costs too much to build buildings for them to wreck. And like the first 10 minutes of this film, he just walks through a fucking building and smashes it down like old school Godzilla style, you know? And the way the mannerism, the person that's doing that Godzilla suit work is behaving completely different than what we're used to seeing regular Godzilla. So the whole way through it, something's off, but he looks
he's doing
enough
karate
like
poses.
Yeah, he looks enough like Godzilla to where your brain is kind of like, is that Godzilla? If you don't know what's going on when it's hitting, you know?
Yeah, and there's like one scene where he's like holding his fist and moving his arm down, and looks like he's about to do the fucking rock bottom. Like his elbow over.
Oh my god! All right, Derek, what is something you love about this movie?
Just the whole ending battle. It's probably the best of like two monsters against one, and like a 2 against 1 matchup ever. And,
3 monsters fight at the end of this? I didn't realize that. I saw one in the corner.
Well,
I saw one hiding behind Godzilla.
There's one in the spotlight losing his religion.
Hi.
No, I just like that whole fight, and you know, like that's just the music going. It keeps you pumped and amped, and just like how Godzilla just uses some mechanisms, the kind of weird mechanisms, but we'll get more into that maybe a little bit later. But I just enjoy it. It's fun, you know. And
Fair
just
enough.
like, all the blood and gore and stuff, because you never really get to see a lot of. Well, you did in Gigan, but it's more like Crayola blood too in this one. It's like Dawn of the Dead, like Red Blood.
Yeah. All right.
Well, this one was kind of the first one to bring in blood, because wasn't this one before Gigan?
No, this is after
No.
Gigan.
It is
2
after
years
Gigan?
after, yep.
But
Yeah.
this one feels the bloodiest out of all of them.
It
It
is.
just feels
It is,
so
yeah.
much more violent.
Yeah, it's so like Mechagodzilla's mean spirited in the fight too, which I like, and I just like the dynamic that how he uses the fight against the
Yeah.
two monsters and shit.
Well, it was a combination of the fact that Jun Fukuda is actually directing it, and Eiji Tsuburaya is not doing the special effects. Those combinations are going to make it way bloodier.
Not to mention, too, you've got to figure this is going up against Ultraman. And the concurrent series, I think, was Leo, which is the bloodiest one of the whole series.
Yeah, that's very true. Plus, Gamera movies at the time,
Yeah.
throughout the 70s, Gamera movies were they were chopping people. There was a spray-painted silver Gaios that just got chopped up like sushi in one movie.
Yeah,
It was brutal. So, Mr. Venom, what is something you love about this movie?
All right, well, I'm probably going to take the unpopular opinion, and I'm just going to say King Caesar. I actually love this dude. I love. See, I have a thing for foo dogs. It's a design that I've always enjoyed, and I actually have contemplated getting a tattoo on more than one occasion of a foo dog. And to actually see a giant kaiju who's basically, a bipedal foo dog. He may not be the most effective fighter in the world, but I love his design. I love his mannerisms. I think his face is great. It is absolutely amazing with the glowing red eyes and the jewel in the forehead. So yeah, I'm totally on board for King Caesar.
yeah, I like him
He's-
too.
I'm
wanna-
so on board. He's the only Bandai vinyl toy I have.
I want
Nice.
to piggyback on that, and he also has one of the most interesting specific kaiju powers too, where he can absorb energy in one eye and then blast it back out of the other, like he's reflecting it at them. I think they could have done a lot more with that. Like if him and Godzilla could have teamed up, and he could have like focused Godzilla's atomic breath. Could you
Yeah.
just imagine
Shoot it out of
Godzilla
the
like
eye.
blasting one of his eyes and then him focusing it like a laser beam?
Mechagodzilla, that would be fucking
Mechagodzilla, that would-
amazing.
Wouldn't it have been so cool if they could have done something like that? But they just kind of play with it a little bit when he's facing Mechagodzilla and then abandon that idea.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm with you on there because I was watching it and I was like, oh, that's dope. But then, like, Mechagodzilla just goes complete heavy arms Gundams and just starts unloading missiles and lasers. And King Caesar is like, oh, hell no, I came out to throw hands. You over here trying to use missiles and shit. I'm from the 1700s. I don't play this stuff. No, I'm hiding over here.
It's amazing that a creature from the 1700s can actually be awoken by a pop song from the 1960s. I don't know how that works. Like, was the family that far ahead of themselves that, like, 200 years in the past, they invented 1960s Japanese pop? Is that how that works?
So King Caesar is the reason for J-pop. All right. That's a new one. Don, what is
It's another
something...
reason to like them.
Exactly. Don, what is something you love from this movie?
Well, you know me. I'm the music aficionado of this group, and with all that music talk, we can't go without listening off that wonderful score. It's one of the best Nanafukube soundtracks in the series.
I
Yeah.
agree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, they brought back the one good song from Son of Godzilla for the Caesar Mechagodzilla fight. And then all that brand new theme music that they have is so glorious. It's the only good song in Final Wars.
Whoa,
yeah,
man.
the
What about Sum
fucking-
41? That was hitting.
I know what I said, and I stand by it.
Oh Jesus! I gotta question one of the songs in the movie. When Mechagodzilla sheds his skin and kind of reveals himself to the world, why is there swing music playing? That's a straight up swing song.
Because he was created by apes, and apes like to swing Cort. Jeez.
Oh,
Jeez,
that's a reach.
man.
That's a reach.
Yeah, they reach for the vine to swing. Cort, are you not
Terrible.
paying attention here?
Why are you yelling at me about this? This is all him, man, not me.
That's Venom. You're
Oh.
confused.
I have no complaints about swing music being used anywhere. I was graduating about the time that swing revival happened in the late 90s, so I fall for it. I'm a mark for that shit.
Oh, I take it back. Venom, how dare you?
Please.
Yeah.
Well,
I love
I've
the
been
drums
wrong.
and
It
shit in
just
that
seemed
score,
it
didn't
just
it?
seemed
Yeah.
a little anticlimactic for me. It's like here's the big reveal. I'm a robot. I'm not really Godzilla. Blah blah blah. And it's like, you know, Stray Cats are playing in the background, and it's like what? It took me out of it. I mean, it's rare that a Godzilla soundtrack takes me out of the movie, and that took me out of it. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not necessarily saying I hate it. I'm just saying it took me out of it, and I noticed it.
Interesting. So something I love is when the human side of the story involves Japanese guys with guns from Interpol. Mm-hmm. That specific combination just gets me there. I love
that guy's awesome. I love
that
guy.
Dude is so cool. Like, man,
him and Diamond Kick should make a side movie together.
Oh, I want a Diamond Kick movie. Can we make this happen? We can bring both these guys. In fact, the second guy with the white jacket looked like he was dressed up like a Diamond Kick Evel Knievel. But I love and Jun Fukuda is mostly known for doing those action crime movies. So I love this movie specifically to get that part shoved in, to get the action scenes, and they're all super 70s, like karate chops to the back of the head to knock the guys out. And on top of that, we have this really weird 70s sci-fi, the aliens are monkeys thing going on. And I'm just like, this is everything I want.
They took a Planet of the Apes movie, shoehorned it into where they travel back in time to conquer the planet with a James Bond film, and complete with a stalactite that folds open so you can press a button on it to open a door. And then they took that and then they wrapped a Godzilla plot around it where these apes are coming from the future or wherever to take over the planet using a Mechagodzilla. I mean,
plus they also
everything. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Cort. I was going to say. Sorry. Sorry, go ahead, Cort. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say everything about this movie just screams like childhood grindhouse, like drive-in cinema for me. Like, this is the kind of thing that you would love to see at a matinee and would freak out over in the time frame that it came out in.
This is a 10-year-old's grindhouse flick, is what you're saying.
I was just going to add on to that, and like they add like this like Daimajin like godlike complex to it too, with like the King Caesar character.
Yeah, there's a lot of like what you would love about Daimajin is in the King Caesar, and it feels like almost like they wanted to take Daimajin but give him like a Mothra laziness where like you have to sing to him for like 85 minutes of the film before he'll get up and do something.
Wow. Speaking of things we don't like, Cort, what is something you don't like about this movie?
I could do with a little less of the professor pseudoscience in this. It got kind of annoying with like that pipe that creates this weird magnetic field because it's a specially manufactured metal.
It's made out of an element that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's late 60s comic booky thing, so I kind of give it a pass, but like watching it this time around, I'm like, okay, we get it. Can you stop fucking showing him fucking around with the pipe for like 5 minutes, and can we get some more monster fight or something?
Fair enough. All right, Derek, what is something you did not like about this movie?
Nothing really major. I kind of piggyback on the pseudoscience stuff. Another thing that some of the when the apes are transforming into ape form, some of the effects kind of look a little more dated than they usually do. Like when I was a kid, I would be okay with this, but it looks kind of cheesy now when they're transforming into the ape form with like the fade in, like effect.
Yeah, 100%. Venom, what is something you did not like about this movie?
That's a tough one. There's nothing really overt that I didn't like. I already mentioned the swing song for Mechagodzilla's reveal. Let's see. Aliens. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna say I don't like these aliens. I'm not nearly the fan that you are of monkeys. I guess they're Mr.
I know
Herring.
You don't even like to swing.
There you go. So
you're an ape.
Asian John Holmes. They didn't have an Asian John Holmes there.
But yeah, I don't know. Something about monkeys from space doesn't do it for me. So
that phrase alone has me sold on like any movie you want to put down my gullet. Monkeys from space. I'm so in Venom.
If someone's like monkeys from the third planet come to Earth to battle out ancient gods with the giant cyborg. Oh, also fucking Godzilla. You're not sold on that? I am like here's all my money.
The Godzilla sold me on it.
Yeah, I'm
The
blowing a
monkeys
dude
alone
behind
won't do it.
Kmart just to go to this movie.
I gotta think that Planet of the Apes was a huge influence on making them ape aliens this time around.
Oh
Probably.
yeah.
Well, they
I'm-
already
think-
did the
I think
cockroach.
I think there's a direct there's an interview with Nakano out there that states that they were directly influenced to say you have to make them apes. I'm sure that there's an interview somewhere where Nakano was specifically stated the studio told them to make them apes.
Yeah, have any of y'all ever seen the Japanese movie Time of the Apes?
Yes, love it.
No, haven't seen
Sandy
it.
Frank.
Yeah,
No, I haven't
it's
seen
a
that
Sandy Frank dub. You can watch the Mystery Science Theater version of. Oh man, it like
Corn Job. There's somebody named Corn Job. Yes.
well no the corn job that's from Godzilla versus Gierion Mystery Science Theater.
No, that's Time of the Apes.
Is it?
Because that's the one because I've watched that a lot.
Oh,
And the
you're
Godzilla-
right. They reference Corn Job in Godzilla versus
There
Gierion
you go.
episode. Yep, you're right.
I think he's the cop.
Gamera versus Giron, not Godzilla.
Yeah, there's a Gamera versus Gierion episode of Mystery Science Theater where there's another cop in it, and they call him Corn Job, and it's a reference to Time of the Apes.
Good times.
God, I love that. One of the best Mystery Science Theater episodes ever is that Gamera versus Gierion.
Yeah.
Their Gamera work was really solid. I think that's why they stuck with it for a good portion of the start of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
have you seen the films?
Yeah.
I think I think the films had something to do with it too.
Yeah.
They have their
okay.
own special charm, even though they're getting ripped apart by them too.
Mhm.
All right, Don, what is something you don't like from this movie?
So this is kind of an odd one. For me, it's the entire purpose behind the fight between Mechagodzilla and King Caesar. Now, I think Venom, I think you're going to understand the most of where I'm coming from with this because it's like a wrestling reference.
Mhm.
You spend, up until the point of his release, you spend 80% of the film with dealing around King Caesar, dealing with, the human storyline to try to keep the statue out of the aliens' hands, and the aliens trying to get the statue to prevent him from awakening. So that gives him like the special like importance somewhat to where, it's kind of like, the wrestler, that's going to debut in a month from now, where you get all these promos and backstage vignettes telling you what a big deal he is. And then, he's finally awakened and it's, debut time. He's ready to come out and he goes up against Hulk Hogan, where he may get one or two lucky punches in, but then Hulk Hogan takes over, kicks his ass and beats him in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing to say that the guy can't go on from that, but then what's the main impression you get? The guy lost his debut match in 5 minutes. So it's kind of like, what was the point behind the fight here? Because we already knew Mechagodzilla's a badass. He ripped Anguirus' jaw off and he made Godzilla bleed. And we've already seen that.
Uh-huh.
Now, we've never met King Caesar. This is the first time we've ever seen him. He's had all this buildup. He's spent all this time, the majority of the movie's been spent around him. And we don't know anything about him. We don't get any kind of idea of his powers or anything. And he gets his ass handed to him in 5 minutes. Like, what was the big deal? Why were they so worried about him?
It's almost like he was the, what do you call it? He was the opening act for Godzilla.
Right. And, instead of it coming off to where Godzilla and Caesar have to team up to fight him, it's more like Godzilla shows up to save King Caesar from being killed.
While he's
Yeah.
buried in rocks, sitting down for a while.
Yeah,
but that was also part of the prophecy too. So I kind of
yeah, but it's
get
not
a
like
hand with it because they
thing
do
is
say
that-
second monster is going to come.
yeah, but it's not as if the two. It's not as if Godzilla was really needed. Godzilla's needed to prevent him from killing King Caesar. Not Godzilla and King Caesar need to team up to stop Mechagodzilla, because Godzilla did the heavy work himself. 90% of the fights with him. So it's not like two of them. It's not like the two of them were needed. Godzilla did most of the heavy work. Caesar just dented his chest plate.
Well, I think it's evidence. I mean, everything that you're saying right here, Don, is evidenced by the fact that King Caesar really only appears in one other movie after this. He is a career killer. It's like he goes up. It's like you said, as soon as he shows up, everybody's nonplussed about him, and no one really gives a shit, and they never bring him back until Final Wars, to which he dies a horrible death like a bad soccer player when he gets chucked. So
Yeah.
Wow, King Caesar is a jobber to Anguirus, who is a jobber in the franchise.
Yeah.
Had one chance, did nothing with it, and not only took his career down, but killed Anguirus' career also.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
the
is-
film itself killed both of their whole roles as kaiju. It dropped their popularity immensely, and they never pop up again until pretty much Final Wars.
Yeah, they both don't show up again until Final Wars, where they get to come back with the likes of Abara.
And the thing is, he's got such an amazing backstory. He's, a royal guardian. That's like a title you don't get with any other giant monster. And then, he's treated like that. It's kind of like, well, it just makes him feel less important. So
Yeah, and there's a whole there's a whole history of like how this movie came about and what it was supposed to be. Have y'all ever heard about this?
Nope.
Oh,
If I have, I've forgotten it. So please elucidate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me find this thing where it talks about it real quick. Okay. So the concepts of Mechagodzilla and King Caesar were not in the original first draft of this movie. The film was originally titled "Giant Monsters Converge on Okinawa Showdown in Zanpa Misaki."
That's a title that would have not put butts in seats for sure.
And would feature Mothra, Anguirus, and a new alien monster called Garugan. Toho had been pining to use Okinawa in a film since Subaraya Productions obtained permissions from Toho to borrow Godzilla for a film called Godzilla vs. Red Moon, which was never made. As for the showdown in Zanpamisaki script, Mothra was eventually dropped in favor for a new character named King Barugan. Not Barugan, Barugan, which would eventually evolve into King Caesar. Garugan was then dropped in favor of the robotic Godzilla. King Caesar's origins as a guardian monster may also have roots in Okinawa mythology and the aborted Godzilla vs. the Space Monsters, the Earth Defense Command script.
Oh, yeah. I remember
that
this.
Eventually became Godzilla vs. Gigan. I'm pretty sure we talked about it in the Godzilla vs. Gigan episode.
We did.
The original story for that film featured a giant statue, Majin Tool, which comes to life to aid Godzilla.
See, there was a little bit of a Daimajin thing there too, where he comes to life.
Yep.
So they basically took what they wanted to do with Mothra with the fucking singing, like I said, and hybrid it with Daimajin. So that totally makes sense. It feels like that.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah. I also want to point out that once again, this is one of our fun Germany releases where Mechagodzilla is actually called King Kong. Because if you don't know, if you've never looked into the history of Godzilla in Germany, they constantly either try to fit in a King Kong or a Frankenstein's monster. One of the two. It has to be in there for some odd reason. And with this one, most people believe, especially film historian David Collette, says that he believes that this is influenced from King Kong Escapes, with King Kong finding a mechanical version of himself. That they did the same thing with this one, much like they did the same thing with Jet Jaguar in Godzilla vs. Megalon, and Jet Jaguar is King Kong is in the suit.
King Kong in a mech suit is something I need to see now, guys. I really want to see that.
Me too, man.
I am down for it. Let me check real quick if we got any weird names, because that's one of the other things. If you can find. A lot of these get really weird names when they go other places. This one doesn't really have anyone, except in Germany it's King Kong Jinjin Godzilla, or King Kong Monster aus der Tief. Whatever the fuck that means.
Why is Frankenstein versus King Kong? That would have been way better.
You've heard about that story, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll say that was supposed to happen. And then, of course, in America, this was first came out as Godzilla vs. the Bionic Monster, Warner Brothers was like, nah, bitch, you can't do that. We've got the Bionic Man and the Bionic Woman. You're not having the Bionic Monster. So they then changed it to Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster, which, if you say Cosmic Monster, I'm automatically going to think King Ghidorah, because he shows up in comics. But either way, the thing that I hate in this movie, which is no surprise, is the song. Do not stop my Kaiju movie to sing a song.
An entire song.
An entire
dead.
Oh,
How long was dead for that?
A song that literally sounds like a mumble rap song from 2018. It just sounds like you're repeating the exact same shit over and over, and you got a banging hook. That's it. I don't want to, no. I don't want to hear it. I'm not a fan. Do not stop my movie to do that.
At least it has more lyrics than Mathuraya. Mathuraya.
Mathura.
Yeah, I don't mind the song. I actually kind of like it. I think it's kind of bouncy, but one verse, the chorus, boom, he's awakened. Not the whole damn thing.
Well, they had to do a music video in 1974, and that's the way that they shoehorned it in there. Is they just shoot it with her singing a love song to King Caesar.
They knew about J-pop early. They also
her
knew MTV
grandfather
was coming.
about to fucking keel over. He's like, "Come on, get over, wake up already."
That dude's
My
an
beard
asshole.
is weighing down my neck. Can we just get on with it?
That dude's an asshole, but I bet he has a huge penis. I don't know why, but he does.
Most of us assholes do. That's probably why.
Huge in general are just huge for an Asian.
So am I just the exception to the rule then? Because I'm a fucking dick, and my penis is just small.
Maybe? I don't know.
I don't like to answer these questions.
I mean, I'll send you a pic, Derek.
No.
Oh, okay.
Keep that.
It has to be. It has to be unsolicited.
You-
it has
you-
to be unsolicited.
You guys do not want to be in the Kill the Cast message chat, because one, it's called Dudes with Nudes. And you do not want to be in that chat. Another thing I want to bring up, I am normally like the biggest pro-American dub guy ever, and as everyone knows on this show, we watch the American dubs. We are watching the ones we watched as children. Later on, we'll go back and watch some of these Japanese originals and kind of go through this. But we're kind of, talking about what we saw as children growing up, because it was hard to get Japanese versions of the movies with subtitles.
Yeah.
So this movie, on the other hand, though, is one of the worst American dubs. Just awful. There's one character, I can't remember his name. He's a brother to someone, and every time he talks, I'm just like, don't put a leather jacket on someone and then make them sound like that. Don't do it. That is not okay.
They always seem to do the English dubs in a lot of these, particularly the bad ones. They always seem to take a character who is supposed to look badass, and they give him a voice where he talks like this the entire time. It's so
but this
bad.
one, like, everyone sounded bland. Everyone literally sounded like a bowl of white rice.
Dudes, the head alien sounded like a chain smoking Marlon Brando with his birthmark. He's like, "We're gonna use Mechagodzilla."
He sounds his most menacing when he gives Mechagodzilla commands too, where he's like, "Now completely annihilate the entire island and destroy King Caesar."
And bring me home a pack of Newports, please.
My birthmark needs them.
My birthmark must feed.
Okay, someone explain the birthmark to me, because I noticed that he was the only one who had that mark in his human form. So for some reason, I thought maybe when he transformed back to ape, that he would be like some kind of exaggerated, like something that would justify having that mark as a human. But
Why the
no,
fuck did he have horns? What is
Yeah,
he
he just had
Trantor
random-
from Ernest Scared Stupid?
Yeah,
Those
he
are
had
just
random
horny.
teeth. But I guess that was supposed to, kind of give you the hint that that there's something wrong with them. But like, now that I'm older, I'm sitting there like, oh yeah, I'm judging this guy by his birthmark, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm an asshole.
Was that real though? Did he really have that?
No, it's green makeup.
Yeah, okay, I was making
Either
sure.
that or
I think he was
he
the same
wore-
actor in Terror Mechagodzilla too.
Yeah,
Like,
he
same
just
alien.
decided to walk around with like fake gold on the side of his face for a fucking year, and it turned his face green permanently.
Jesus,
See,
and that
he caught-
jacket.
He caught a David Bowie concert and then was like, you know what? One part of my face needs to be gold for the rest of this movie. And they just went with it.
probably where he got that gay little gold plate jacket thing he was wearing.
Yo, I like these silver outfits. By the way, I'm rocking those.
Terrible.
No,
They kind of remind me of like a late 50s idea of a space suit. You know, what you would see in like a Phantom Planet or something like that, where it has to be like this bright reflective metal where everything's made out of foil.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. They just strapped them in tinfoil.
A little bit, yeah.
All right,
but it's
so
like it's way too unwrinkly.
Yep.
All right, so let's break down the monsters we have in this movie. We have 4. So quickly, let's go. Anguirus, he looks good in this movie. He showed up. He got his ass kicked. He got his jaw ripped. Poor Anguirus. I felt bad for him.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All that Crayola blood and shit coming out of his mouth.
Yeah,
I roll a tear every time he gets his jaw ripped open, especially when he tries to crawl away and just let me be. You've won. I'm going away now, and then he just keeps getting hurt.
I'm just hugging my Anguirus toy now and just petting him. I feel so bad for him.
When he's screaming and shit, it's just so...
It's heart-wrenching. It's so brutal. It's like, is this a rated G film? Why are they showing me this?
For real. Then we also have King Caesar. So we've already kind of talked about how cool King Caesar is, supposedly. I can't get behind King Caesar. Just like, he just sits down a lot. He's real lazy. He
might have fleas.
To be fair, he just had a 4,000-year nap. He's going to be a little rusty.
Yeah, and he also showed up to a gunfight with a knife, so...
Right.
Yeah. And he is labeled as a royal guardian, and guardians sit and guard. He's not a warrior. He doesn't go out looking for trouble necessarily. So, I mean, he's going to sit 90% of the time anyway.
Well, maybe
he's trying to contain the fight there. He's not allowing it to go beyond that point.
There you go.
He needs to go train with the Imperial Guards from fucking Star Wars.
Oh, jeez.
Because those dudes rip.
He might need a new flea collar, too, after that 4,000-year-old nap.
Oh, Jesus.
Then we also have... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, imagine the smell of that guy covered in fur and sleeping under a mountain for 4,000 years or whatever. Oh, God.
Probably smells like my podcasting partner whenever he comes rolling in on a Monday night.
There you go. I couldn't imagine. That boy needs a royal bath.
The royal Caesar is clean, Your Highness.
That's a contest I want no part of. And I think Matt might actually take him.
Okay, so we also have Godzilla. We have Godzilla in what I call cloudy face Godzilla. Super nice looking, super friendly looking. I'm not a fan of the look. I don't like cloudy face Godzilla. His cheeks look like they were stolen from like generic chipmunk filled with nuts. Mouth.
The way I look at him, he looks like he has like eternal cotton mouth.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, with his mouth open the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Cort, how do you feel about Godzilla in this movie, look-wise?
I mean, this is kind of the era where they do try to make him a little more friendly, like, for kids to be able to look at. And it's a real dopey look for like the last, 3 or 4 movies of this series for this era, for the Showa. And while this one doesn't feel the absolute worst to me, it's also not the best out of all of them. I feel I think the only one that's even worse is the one that looks like he was made completely out of velvet. Where like
Which
he doesn't
one is
even
that?
have
You
like...
talking about Raids again?
No, I think that's Megalon.
Yeah, it's one of the ones where the outfit just looks like velvet. It doesn't even look like they did any latex work at all. It just looks like a velvet suit. And I think that might be Megalon.
Which is funny because this is the same costume.
But maybe it's just the way they shot it then, because you can actually see the scales and everything. And in that one, he does. He looks like he's like crushed green velvet, like he's like a pajama suit with a Godzilla mask on top of it. But this one, I mean, they at least filmed it well, and the scales and stuff show up a little bit better. The suit moves pretty well for me in this. I mean, he was able to do some very physical stuff. Oddly enough, I hate to say it, but I think the suit that they did for Mechagodzilla pretending to be Godzilla even looks a little bit better, and it's probably even the same suit, but they probably painted it a little bit differently.
Well, there's 2 different costumes. The majority of scenes when it's just Mechagodzilla by himself, that's actually the same costume that Godzilla is. But when they go to it's in the fighting scene at the complex. There's a second attraction. There's a second costume that they use.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Well,
Yeah,
the Godzilla costume where there's the two of them together and it's the Mechagodzilla with the metal coming up underneath, that one actually looks better to me than the main hero Godzilla suit in this film for some reason. I don't know if it's just my personal taste or what. Maybe it's because he's a little darker in the scales, and then the sort of metallic look to his spines I really dug. I don't know.
Yeah,
Fair
I can see
enough.
that.
Yeah.
I need to bring up this random magnetic power he just evolved into.
That's like that fucking thing that King Kong had in fucking King Kong versus Godzilla. It was like crazy.
Well, yeah, and he's supposed to be weak to lightning in King Kong versus Godzilla, and now he's using lightning to become magnetic.
You never know with Godzilla, though. Some days he could fly in fetus form, and other days...
He can ride on his tail like a skateboard to drop kick people. And it is when he has magnetic power, which I was just kind of like, y'all literally couldn't figure out another way for him to win besides magnetic power.
Yeah, I think they gave up towards the end of this film. It feels like they really just were like, fuck it, he's magnetic. Figure it out.
Fuck it.
I agree with that. And let's also talk about Mechagodzilla. Now, there are 3 forms of Mechagodzilla, and I'm going to go around. I want to know which form is your favorite. For me, 74, 75 Mechagodzilla is my favorite out of the Mechagodzilla forms. Cort, what's your favorite?
Definitely this one, 74, 75. Final full reveal metallic, blowing off all the missiles and just fucking Godzilla's day up. That is the best you'll ever get for Mechagodzilla. That's why I picked the movie.
True. Mr. Venom.
Oh yeah, OG 74, love it.
All right, Derek.
OG 74 with Millennium coming in second.
Yeah, Kiro is pretty badass. Don.
Yeah, I actually have favorites for all 3 of them, depending for specific situations. In terms of looks, it's Kiryu for me.
Okay, fair enough. As long as everyone agrees, the worst is the Heisei one. Let's be honest.
Yep.
Bitch looks like a Power Ranger.
It looks like a
Yeah.
dinosaur.
Yeah, spoiler alert, the only thing I like about that one is the theme song.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Rodian's the only good thing about that movie. I think I talked about it on the last episode because I just watched it and I was bitching about it.
We'll
But
save that for the
nonetheless-
show.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
save that. So I'm going to go around now and give an open table. You can say whatever you want about this movie, whatever you want to get through. Cort, what else do you have to say about this movie that you have to get it off your chest to reveal your shiny inside?
I'm going to make a reference to a really ancient meme that no one will probably get, but I'm going to do it anyway. Leave King Caesar alone! He's had a very difficult time! Just stop it! Just leave King Caesar alone!
Wow, yes, sir. I thought you were gonna bring up some Gilgamesh shit. I thought we were going way back.
Wow, bringing up Britney Spears on a Godzilla podcast, that's a first.
Because
Oh, boy.
Britney Spears got her
Japanese pop that was
career.
in there, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Britney Spears saw this and was like, I want to be that chick.
But in all seriousness, though, I really feel like King Caesar deserves a better shake than what he got. And I think Don nailed it when we were discussing it earlier, as just the way that they debut him. He just gets his ass handed to him, and it just basically shortened anything that they could have done with him, and they dropped him from here on out. And I think that's really kind of a bummer. That's my biggest takeaway from the film is I wish I could have seen more with him. I wish he would have got up and done a little bit more. Other than that, I love this movie from beginning to end, and that's why I picked it. I mean, just the explosions that happen with the Mechagodzilla attacks and everything are just really off the chain, and it's a really well done film.
Yeah, Jun Fudo really does know how to film action, and one of the things they had said they wanted to do with this movie was they wanted to make it more exciting and make it faster, especially with the monster fights. That's why you have so much of the camera changing angles constantly. That's why you have when the apes get their hideout exploded, The explosions sound like someone is just DJing and they're just doing skips. Like, just restarting every explosion sound. It is ridiculous.
It is. It's fucking awesome.
Derek, what do you have left to say about this movie?
Actually, the second Godzilla film I ever seen when I was younger. I actually owned 3 different VHSs with all the same different titles that we all mentioned: the Cosmic Monster, Bionic Monster, and the OG title. And yeah, I love this movie. It's super fun, and it still holds up. Like, some of the effect shots are outdated, but if you show this to a young kaiju fan, they'll fucking love it, especially with all the explosions and a lot of shit going on, just to keep them interested. It's super fun, highly recommendable Godzilla film. I love it.
All right, Mr. Venom, what do you got?
I'm right there with Psyops, man. I love this movie. I think Caesar doesn't get the respect that he deserves. I understand that on screen he may not be the badass that he's described in that he's described as in the prophecies, but I personally love his design. I basically love that he's a bipedal food dog. Absolutely, just love his look. I liked his ears whenever he thought he heard something in the background. Very, how they kind of sprouted straight up. I totally love that. So he has a little bit of dog in him. So I thought that was really, really cool. Beginning to end, this movie's fun, man. There's no annoying human kids to take you out of the movie.
Always a plus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with this movie, they replace the annoying kid with an annoying song, but whatever. It's technically, it's not the worst song I've ever heard, but I'm on board. I'm with Jerry that there's no need to take 5 minutes out of my kaiju movie to have to listen to this entire song. And then literally when she sings the final note of the song, then he wakes up. It's like, no, that's generally not how things work, at least not backwards with a lullaby. People generally, they'll fall asleep halfway through or whatever. But yeah, so that bothered me, having to sit there and basically watch a glorified Celine Dion music video just to get to King Caesar. So, despite any negative things I said today, this is by far one of my favorite kaiju movies in general that we've discussed on the show so far. Absolutely love it. And highly recommend it. This is definitely one that all the beginner kaiju folks need to see. So yeah, highly recommend.
All right, and Don.
I'm perfectly on board with what they've said. One last thing. I know I mentioned that I have a favorite for every category for each of the 3 Mechagodzillas. And I want to say this for this Mechagodzilla, my favorite tactic is his reliability. Because you look at the other 2 Mechagodzillas, what happens? Godzilla sent the electric pulse up the cables, and the 93 one fried it out, didn't work. The Kiryu one, Godzilla roars, the thing turns unresponsive. What happens here? He takes Godzilla to the limit. He makes him bleed with an explosion. He's still got enough strength left to fly home without any kind of, stabilizers. It's just Mechagodzilla return to base. And then you realize what kind of the battle tactics that he has. Beat Godzilla to death. And he manages to come up with, varying battle tactics. Like, you notice what happens in the battle with King Caesar. I know I mentioned the point behind it, but within the confines of the fight itself, you realize 3 different times he fired the eye beam, it got fired straight back at him. So what did he do afterwards? He switched straight to missiles. He was able to be reliable enough to figure out what was going on the spot. And the only reason he got destroyed was not through his own means or anything that Godzilla did, but by the interaction of the Interpol agents who were there at the base. We never talked about them, but that was the only reason why Godzilla was able to win. And, it just speaks to how great a design and how reliable they built the thing. So,
all right. So I got a few things. First of all, Mechagodzilla, when we say fisting, the mouth is the wrong hole. Let's go ahead and clear that up now.
Maybe not how you party, Jerry, but still.
Okay. I'm going to get Cort drunk for a blowjob because apparently he fisses himself in the mouth.
No, I just am a huge fan of Just Before Dawn. That's all.
Okay, you're just like want to mandible claw everyone like Mankind. Just let me get my fingers in your mouth.
Yeah, that's my thing. I want to jam my freaking arm down everyone's throat.
Socko.
Dear country of Hungary, go fuck yourself. How dare you finally get a Godzilla movie in 1989 in your horrible cinemas, I'm assuming. It's this great movie that's action and sci-fi and giant monsters and fisting, and it does so bad, and you have such an unfavorable reception to this movie that you don't get that we literally do not give you another Godzilla movie until you get the American 1998 Godzilla movie.
Oh God!
Which you then apparently liked. So, to Hungary.
It was directed by Emmerich, so that makes sense. He's German.
Hungary, go fuck yourself. If you were in Hungary during 1989, we got beef. That's what I'm saying. I had to get on my soapbox and take care of that real quick. I don't really have too much more to add from what they've said about this movie. I do agree. This is one of the easiest Showa movies to watch. It is so fast-paced. Everything's going on. You do have a couple of lulls when it gets a little too sciencey or a little too songy. But other than that, this is a great ending for Jun Fukuda's career in the Godzilla franchise. I'm a huge fan of the movies that he did do in the franchise. I know he always got kind of the lower budget ones, but he always makes the human action just as interesting as the monster action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've struggled with that so much before him and so much after him too.
Yeah, he gets it. He nails that, because you even have movies that he did where it's not like huge gangsters or anything. Like, I can sit down and watch Godzilla versus a sea monster anytime. It is a joy to watch because I care about the human characters. There's enough action to keep me going. Like, that's just one thing Jun Fukuda brought to the series that I agree everyone else has had some trouble with. He should have directed Final Wars. All I'm saying. Okay?
Could have probably lost all of that Matrixy stuff that just drags on forever in that one.
Yeah. And I hate the Matrix.
Jeez.
So, Final Wars, we got problems. But either way, still one of the best movies in the Showa series that you should be watching. This is the one you sit down to just have fun. This is one that get a couple of beers, get a couple of doobies, get a couple of whatever cinema puts in his mouth. I don't know, Cort just puts things in people's mouths, but whatever it is, get that also. Go ahead and bring that to the table.
That tends to distract people from the film, so we save that for once the movie's over.
Oh, well, I usually just get it going during the movie. I mean, I only need one eye to see the movie and one ear. Who cares what the other eye and ear is filled with?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Jerry's really leveraging this show to try and get me to come visit him to party with him, it seems.
Wow.
Hey, Bo lives in the same town as I do. I'm just saying. If you want to come to the heart of Legion, it's right here in Nashville. You've got because you also have I'm blanking on his name. One of you will know it. I feel bad right now. From Helming Power Hour, not Ricky Morgan.
Ricky.
Ricky lives close. Danny. That's it. I kept wanting to say Daniel, and I knew Daniel wasn't completely correct. So there we go. Danny. Danny also lives here in the Nashville area. And then close to us, we also have Jeffrey X. Martin. He lives close. Somewhat close. He's like in 2 hours.
And
Yeah.
Ricky Morgan's out there, isn't he too?
Yeah, he's within like 2 hours, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this is where it's at. You come to Nashville. We got the stuff. We'll take you to Full Moon Cinemas. No relationship to Full Moon and Charles Brand, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say that's not a selling point for me anymore.
Yeah, no, not that. I'm not going to take you there and try to sell you original factory Wizard Video
VHS.
reprint cases. Okay. So with that being said, if we have not convinced you to watch Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, I'm really not sure why you're listening to this show. Seriously, I'm not even going to thank you for listening. I'm really confused right now. And here we now move on to the Ultraman report. All right, so Ultraman Episode 8, The Lawless Monster Zone, 9/4/1966. So, here we have another episode that, if you're watching the DVD, bad audio quality, but it seems to happen on almost all of them that have to jump between the English dub and inserting the Japanese missing scenes. So, if you're watching with us at home, you're not crazy, your DVD's not broken, and the Green Fairy is lying to you. So, here we have the Science Patrol heading to an island to check on a lost expedition. And we see two monsters fighting. One of these is important because he is the Red King. And he is related to Andre Toulon and was eventually turned into a puppet for Puppet Master.
He was. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching it.
And he shows up a lot. He is a big kaiju when it comes to the Ultraman world.
He is.
So he's fighting another monster no one cares about. It's a bat monster. His name is Chandora.
Chandora, yeah.
I'm just going to go to Dom when I need these things because he always fixes me on these. So we have Science Patrol seeing the monsters, but they can't do anything about it. They can't fire because they don't know where the team that they need to rescue is. So they land at the observatory and find out that it is wrecked. Just completely wrecked. And this is when you really start noticing how bad the audio is. Then we see Fuji sees a spider. And she is scared of spiders. But Ito is like, chill out. Spiders are cool. Because Ito's cool. I want y'all to know that. So they decide to go search the jungle. They're finding items all over the place, but it seems to be leading them into a path. And there's two separate teams here. You've got Team Fuji, which is Fuji, Arashi, and Ito. And then you've got Team Captain Hayata, because that's Captain and Hayata. They cannot contact each other because there is some kind of radio interference that is keeping them from contacting each other over the radio. And at this point, a plant vine attacks Fuji and Ito, and Hirashi has to blast it with a ray gun. Now, this monster also has a name. Don, do you know what the name is?
There's a name for the plant monster?
Yes, okay, I pulled it up. Yes, it's Sunflan.
Sunflan.
Yes, that vine monster has a name. It is Sunflan. I don't know why, but it is. So then we jump to... Yeah. Can I get some Sunflan? You would say that, you fucking California motherfucker.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with Latino.
Wow.
I mean, I was trying not to make those jokes at you because I know how offended you get, which is offensive to me. That
Hey,
you
as
would
long
seem...
as long as you use the right derogatory term, then we're good. Just don't call me Mexican.
But that's the thing. You're like, don't call me Mexican. You can call me derogatory terms, but don't call me Mexican.
There you go.
Like, what? That is weird.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, so Hayata and the captain run into another monster. This is a giant lizard rock thingamathing. Don?
Magular.
Magular. Which is also the my rap name. Okay, MC Magular. Don't make me throw disses at you.
I thought it was MC Matango.
It is, no, Matango deserves too much respect. I'm not gonna. I was drunk one night and I wrote a diss to Bill Casanelli because I thought we were all about to get into these rap disses, and I'm not gonna lower Matango's honor by a rap diss towards fucking Big Bill.
Nice.
So anyway, this is not the time for Monster Zoo jokes, Hayata. Jesus, people are dying. Possibly. So Hayata eventually throws a grenade after his captain tells him 8 times to do it. But he gets smacked in the head by the tail of the monster and gets knocked down. Now...
He becomes a dummy.
Yeah, he becomes a dummy.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
He's dying.
So we go back to the Fuji clan, who are resting at a pond when they meet Pigmon, who is also a very important kaiju in the Ultraman world. I don't know why, but he is. Apparently they like red coral that has penis for fingers. I don't know. They just do. So Arashi finds a handkerchief that's got some names on it. He believes the monster is leading them to the survivor. So Arashi goes after the monster, and Fuji and Ito at first are like, no, we're gonna go back to Captain. Then they're like, no, we're gonna follow Arashi. He's got the gun. He's got the big gun. So they catch up. Ito calls Arashi fat, that's fucked up. Ito, okay? Like, I know you're the comic relief of the show, but bro, Arashi is really stressed out, and he is trying to work on his figure, and you're just gonna call him fat? Homie, chill.
Especially after he saved you from the vine monster.
Yeah, for real. So then they're like, we've got to mark Pigmon with a pink balloon because, you know, it's really hard to follow a giant fucking red sponge through the green forest. We need to attach a pink balloon to it.
I'm confused about the size of Pigmon. How big is he?
He's human size.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's what okay.
Yeah, they say he's supposedly about 3.5 feet, maybe.
I gotcha. Good.
He's tall enough for you to have sex with.
Yeah.
So they follow Penis Fingers, and they find the survivor, and he's telling them that Pigmon's been helping him, but at night he keeps treating him like King Zizar, and he's Mechagodzilla, and he's just putting it in his mouth with his fingers. Okay, that part's not true. I'm lying. I'm sorry. But Red King shows up, and he just starts throwing rocks at poor little Pigmon. And Arashi and Ito are like, we got you, bro. They start pulling out guns, and they're shooting at him, and Red King's like, I really don't care. I'm going to keep throwing rocks at Pigmon. And then we get this sad scene of the balloon flying away. So they shoot the balloon, and it blows up in Red King's face, which somehow turns him into Yongri, and he just starts dancing for no reason. I don't understand the connection with things in there.
Filled with coke?
I don't know, but just like Yongri, something happens to his face, he just starts dancing. Cort, have you seen Yongri?
Yes, it's been a long time though, but I know the joke you're making about
good.
him dancing. Yeah,
keep it a long time. So
I think the last time I watched it was an MST3K thing that I watched it on our Rift Tracks, maybe.
I think they did it on the new. They did it on the new season. Yeah,
that was the last time I watched it, and that was probably what made it tolerable this time.
I'm mad at them right now, so I don't want to talk about those guys.
Oh,
they made
enough.
me angry. You know what? No, fuck this. I'm talking about. Hold up a second. Pause. If you're gonna do a Kickstarter and you have Kickstarter exclusive stuff, do not make me pay an assload to get it just for you to sell it later down the road for $15. That will make me never support your Kickstarter again. So I had to make sure I paid enough to get this to get the episode on VHS. I wanted it. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I wanted it. And then like 2 weeks ago, they're like, hey, we've got all this stuff left over. Who wants to buy it for $15? And I'm like, really?
Well, if it's left over, I mean, what are they going to do with it?
They can give it away, put it in the round for the next people, give it to other Kickstarters. Right. But it is supposed to be, if you say this item is a Kickstarter limited edition, you do not need to be selling it at a Kickstarter.
I'll give you that.
It's a personal pet peeve of mine. I'm sorry. Also, Kenneth just sent me images in my text messages, and I don't want to open it because I'm pretty sure it's someone naked. And it might be him. Well, we don't know. So
it's always 50-50. That's a female.
With him and Jay, it gets hard to tell because they'll get into just sending each other like pictures of random big naked ladies constantly.
I do.
Yeah, they like them real thick and juicy. Okay. So Ito shoots a flare up. Captain sees the flare shots, and he tells Hayata, who finally has woken up from his nap, that he's got to go. Hayata's like, just go ahead. And for the first time ever, Hayata is in an opportunity to use the beta capsule where he won't look like he's just a lazy part of the team. Because most of the time, it's just like, oh, man, Hayata either gets hurt a lot or just disappears randomly. Does he have a coke problem or something? Like, he's a really bad employee. But Hayata has to find the beta capsule. He finds the beta capsule. Then he tries to grab it from the ledge. It almost falls, but he gets it. He turns it on, which means it's time for the fight scene. And with that, I hand it over to you, Mr. Donanelli.
All right. As Red King continues to approach the hideout, Ultraman flies in from behind and drop kicks Red King face first into a nearby rock outcrop. Squaring off with his new challenger, Red King charges straight at Ultraman, who passes him by, and he falls headfirst into another rock outcropping. Ultraman signals he's ready to fight as Red King removes a large rock from nearby and prepares to hurl it at Ultraman, who instead hits the specium ray blast on the rock, causing Red King to drop it right on its foot. Howling in agony, Ultraman uses the opportunity to move in for a series of chokeholds and chops on the creature before flinging it into a rock outcrop. Dazed and disoriented, Ultraman neck flips Red King over once more, and the creature collapses for good as Ultraman stands tall and flies away.
Okay, I got something to say here. One, if you're going to give me, like, 3 giant monsters, and at the end of it, you're just going to give me this one tiny, light doesn't even flash on his chest fight, I'm kind of upset. Like, it's not a bad episode or anything, but I'm kind of upset at the weak fight in this. But anyway, so let's end it real quick. So they're all, at the end, we see them all standing on a hill with 3 crosses to represent the 3 people that are dead. And they leave, and they never tell us the fate of poor little Pigmon.
I think we're supposed to assume he's gone, right? I mean, they showed his eyes close.
I mean, I'm guessing so. I don't, like, at the end of this episode, I was like, okay, so what about the other 2 monsters that we're fighting? Are they just chilling now? Do we just now this is now a monster island and we don't come back to it? Is Pigmon dead? Is Ultraman, is that his skin or is he wearing a suit? Does Ultraman, if it's a suit, what does Ultraman look like under the suit?
It's the same thing. The suit is like body paint, so it's exactly the same whether it's on or off.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that's his skin, because like even when they give Ultraman tits later on, like it still like looks like it's supposed to be their skin, but I'm not 100% sure, because I'm like, does Ultraman have a penis? Does he not? Do you want like how do they mate? How do they give birth?
He has a red rocket.
Is there an Ultra Woman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's several of them, actually.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Eventually, they had to add some sex appeal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to go around and let everyone get a say about how they feel about this episode. And, of course, since he's our guest, we're not going to start with Cort. Mr. Venom, what did you think of this episode?
I legitimately like this episode a lot. I like the variety of kaiju. You know, it wasn't just one, bad-looking kaiju that I have to sit and watch for 25 minutes. I mean, you got some variety. I kind of like the bat kaiju. I forgot their names.
Don.
But the one who gets his the one who gets his arm ripped off. Yeah. Chandora. I even liked him, even though he has a short appearance in the episode. But yeah, I mean, a good amount of kaiju. Maybe not the greatest final battle by any stretch, but the human element didn't annoy me in this episode at all. I was actually totally on board for the whole, the scientists and the search for the scientists and everything. And then all the creatures that they encountered between the vines and Pigmon and everything else. Yeah, this, in my opinion, this is a solid episode. Probably pretty close to one of my favorites so far.
All right. Cort, what did you think?
I actually really enjoyed this one. The parts that did involve the Space Force when they're wandering around the island, they feel a lot less bumbly than I remember them being watching this, earlier on in my life.
Okay, this is not, they don't work for Trump. It's not a Space Force. It's a Science Patrol.
Science Patrol. Sorry. I knew I had a made-up faction somewhere going on. Science Patrol, right. But they don't feel as bumbly as I remember them being as a kid. And we were kind of talking about it earlier. This is definitely way more bloody than I remember any Ultraman episode I'd ever seen before. Particularly where that Batwing gets ripped off and how the battles are happening and there's blood actually flowing out of these monsters. I found that rather intriguing and interesting. And a lot of the stuff that the Space Patrol or the Science Patrol is doing in this episode feels a lot to me like the sort of Tom Baker era or Peter Davison era Doctor Who, where they're actually exploring, they're being relatively cautious, but their natural curiosity and wonder at this new island that they're checking out while looking for the distressed scientists that got left behind kind of gets the better of them when the plants sneak up on them and attack them. So I really kind of enjoyed seeing that aspect of it as well. I didn't have a problem with the little mini like monster guy that was kind of leading them around. I'm just glad he didn't like become part of the crew, because then I probably would have shut off the episode.
Derek would have loved it. He would have been like, yes, we have our own Godzuki.
Yeah, I was like, I had Godzuki nightmares starting to develop. And the Ultraman battle was short. It felt kind of cheap. Like, I felt shortchanged there too, Jerry. I do agree with you there. But the monster battles at the beginning of the episode padded that out for me to where I knew that if I was going to get any Ultraman in this episode, it was just going to be light and it's going to be him to save the day like it happened at the end. So pretty much what I was expecting to have happen at the end of the episode after that major battle happened, and I didn't feel disappointed, and I'm actually glad that this is one of the better ones that you guys covered that I got to watch with you.
That's very true. Derek?
Yeah, like we all said, we all were disappointed with the actual Ultraman fight battle, but overall there's a lot of great action that happens within it. It's a fast-paced episode, more fast-paced than your usual Ultraman episode that we have covered so far. Like, the first few minutes is a fucking kaiju battle, and you see a fucking kaiju get his fucking arm ripped off. It's fucking amazing. Y'all down with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. And like the pigment shit, he's cool. I didn't get the idea of like a fucking little attachment that shoots a fucking balloon. I'm like, what the fuck is this, the Joker? What does Ito become, like an Asian Joker? What the fuck?
That was odd, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little oddness, but overall, it's a super fun episode and a little more action-packed than the ones we have covered, so I like it, It's awesome.
All right, and Don?
Yeah, I'm exactly like them. It may actually be my favorite of the episodes we've covered, even with my second to least favorite Ultraman fight. This ranks just behind the fight with Green Mons in terms of how much I like it, how much I hated it. It's just, an Ole, a neck flip, it's, a drop kick, an Ole, a chokehold, and then he breaks his back, and it's like, okay, fight's over. So, yeah, that's kind of underwhelming, but like Cort said, you get the fight at the beginning, which is a lot more involved. That's a back and forth battle. And then, you get the dealings with Magular, and that's kind of like another big little section of the episode. So it's kind of, you got enough to counterbalance a weak fight. And, it's fast-paced, it's interesting. There's just not much to dislike about this episode. It's a, fun, fast-paced, rousing adventure. And
all right. As for me, the one thing that I like in an Ultraman episode is I want it to feel fast. I want it to, at no point do I want to stop and be like, man, I wish they'd hurry up and go on. I want this to go. I want it to be fast. I want there to be a sense of adventure, and I want there to be action. Now, while I am disappointed at the ending fight, y'all are right. We did get another Kaiju on Kaiju fight earlier, and that does kind of even it out. Because normally we have to wait till the very end to just get one fight. So to start off with a fight and then get another fight at the end, very good. This is definitely a high-ranking episode. Even if Ito is the biggest jerk ever in this episode, I'm going to go back to a few episodes when he got that black eye and say he deserves another one. But yeah, this was definitely a high bar, especially after the last episode where like Ultraman literally was almost useless.
He didn't even win the fight either, so at least he won this fight.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, I'm not really super feeling it. But yes, this episode is actually really good. Great sense of adventure. I love when they actually have to go out somewhere and it's like, it's out there. I don't know. I really liked it. I liked all the monsters. This episode was definitely a bit more vicious, trying to keep up with the TV trends, I guess. So, with all in all, this is definitely a high episode. And that concludes we didn't talk about the monsters. Hold up. So, let's run it down. I'm going to just ask everyone what their favorite monster from this episode is. Once again, Cort, you're our guest, so I'm starting with Derek. Go ahead.
King. I like his little head. He's so cute. He's so cute looking, and then when he shows his face up for crying, he's like, oh, drooling.
Wow. Cort, what was your favorite monster?
I really dug the man-eating vines that kind of snagged the people, the way that they just kind of were there all of a sudden and just started attacking. It was really cool, and it had a very like Day of the Triffids kind of thing going on, so I dug it.
Dixon Day of the Triffids.
Yeah, I dig that too, man. Yeah, I like the line.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry, as AKA Cortes.
I was really digging on Magular. I liked his design. I know he didn't really fight at all in the episode, so we have no idea what kind, how bad he is. But I mean, you could leave it up to someone's imagination since he didn't really do a whole lot. So I'm gonna take it as he's such a badass. Nobody wanted to fight him.
Fair enough, Don.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jerry on Magular too. Another variation of the Baragon costume, much like Naranga was earlier. So that's kind of a big plus on my end. I have feelings we'll see Red King later on. So I'll shoot my vote for him then. But as of right now, Magular.
All right, and of course, I'm going with old penis fingers. No, I'm just kidding. I actually really dig Chandora. I kind of want to see more of Chandora, Candora, Dora the Explorer.
Is it the bat one?
Yeah, the bat one. I like bat creatures. If anyone read the Dark Horse Godzilla comics, they had an awesome bat kaiju. I'll have to dig out the comic book and take a picture and send it to y'all. It is awesome.
Nice.
So I'm with Chandora. I think I could take her back home to meet the mother. So yeah, that is the Ultraman report. Thank you for joining us for that. And with that being said, it is about time to get out of here. Y'all have gotten your visions from Monsterlands in the form of audio because we don't need to make sense. We would like to give a huge shout out for Cort coming over and joining us on as our very first special guest.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. That's great.
Yeah, thanks so much. Definitely one off the bucket list, whatever that means. Whatever that's worth.
Well, I'm like podcasting dreams right now. I love Cort's show, so it's great to have him on.
Oh, go on, guys. Tell me how wonderful I am. Come on.
I even love the new intro, man. It's fucking awesome. It's all sleazy and shit.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going for. So thank you very much for that. No, I'm glad to actually be a part of you guys' show. I've been listening to this since you joined Legion Podcast Network. And when the underwater kaiju got started, I was super excited because I didn't actually realize how many Godzilla fanatics really were out there, because it's not something that a lot of us horror folks really talk about as much. So just knowing that people had a love for kaiju that I have out there, even more so, made me extremely happy. So being invited on to just talk my pick of a Godzilla film, come on, you guys made it absolutely no question why I was going to do it. This is a total blast, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Of course, man. Anytime you're having the itch. Well, obviously, when we do Daijimon, you're coming on.
Yeah, I'll definitely. Daimajin or Daimajomon, however you want to pronounce it. I love those movies. They're really interesting and fun.
I can't pronounce anything in Japanese. I usually just let Don do it for me.
I go by what I've heard other people pronounce it as, so that I can at least blame them.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Don, you're supposed to be the expert. What do you mean? That's what
you usually do it too.
That's the secret to my success. I just take it everyone else has said.
Anyway. So thank all of you for coming on. And once again, you can check out Cinema Psyops and Obsessive OCD. What the fuck is it?
Obsessive Cinema Discourse.
I was going to say obsessive dismissive something. and I just fucked that all up.
Go
check
be a
out.
little dismissive sometimes, so you're not wrong there, Jerry.
on Legion Podcast. Now, usually before we go, and we're going to do this again, so Cort, you're going to be able to do it then. We actually like to talk about what we have coming up on the upcoming shows. Now, keep in mind, Cortes's might be like 3 hours long. So we usually let him start. So, Mr. Venom, what do you got coming out on your shows?
Well, believe it or not, I just started another podcast.
God damn it!
This one's going to be with my friend Mike Merriman.
Wait, this is the replacement, though, right?
Yes, is the
Okay.
well. I mean, I wasn't on the original, so technically it's new for me. So basically, if you guys know the Horrorphilia network, there was a show on there for almost the past 10 years called Evil Episodes, which was hosted most recently by Mike Merriman, Jamie Sammons, and Brian Sammons. Well, that show's been put to rest, and Mike has decided that he wanted to concentrate fully on movies again. So he and I, along with a horror podcasting legend in Corey Graham, have decided to start the No More Room in Hell podcast. We're kind of loosey-goosey right now with the format. We're gonna let the format kind of organically grow as we do shows. So we recorded our first episode recently where we tackled the original George Romero zombie trilogy, Night, Dawn, and Day of the Dead. Turned out to be a really, really fun episode. We tackled it a little bit differently than a lot of shows that you've probably heard before, because obviously, those three movies have been talked about to death. Everybody already knows about all the social commentary and all the underlying themes and everything else underneath the surface. So we just kind of went at it with a little bit more fun, just talked about what the movies kind of meant to us personally, how we rank them, things like that. So check that out. That's on the Horrorphilia Network. Episode 1 should be available sometime this week. So I would imagine right around the same time that this episode drops. So if you're listening to this, then No More Room in Hell, episode 1 should be available. And then my other podcast, of course, I am a full-time host on the Horrorcast. Episode 50 will be recorded in the next 2 weeks. Monumental episode 50. It took us a lot longer to get to 50 than a lot of other podcasts because of just different hiatuses and things, scheduling conflicts and everything else. So that should be fun. On that episode, we're going to be looking at the top 50 scariest moments in cinema. Not necessarily scariest movies as a whole, but just individual scenes.
Are you just gonna replay the Bravo special? Just do the top
not
50
at all.
from this?
Actually make it good this time?
Because we actually
make it good this
agree
time?
with most of it. So yeah, and this was actually voted on by the fans. This isn't any of the podcast hosts' choices. Basically, we all put in a list of our own individual 50, and then we had listeners also send us a list of their 50, and we basically came up with a point system. So it's just going to be one big list voted on by the hosts and the fans. So all the Horrorcast fans, they got to get their little hands on programming for this episode. So that'll be fun. Beneath the Zenith is on a little bit of a unplanned hiatus just because of scheduling conflicts with a couple of the hosts. But
That's what happens when you have 18 podcasts apiece.
Yeah, but isn't it funny how I'm the one with 10 podcasts and I'm always available? I mean, granted, I have no life, but that's different. So anyway,
Fair enough.
The Evil Episodes presents Just the Movies, which was a sidecast of Evil Episodes, will continue. Mike Merriman and myself will continue to review the latest horror releases in theaters and streaming and VOD, but there is obviously going to have to be a name change. So, and we have not decided what that new name of that show is going to be.
There's no more room in theaters.
There you go. So the first episode, we're going to continue with the numbering system from Just the Movies. So that'll be episode 32, which will cover Halloween 2018, which is released, of course, this Friday. Let's see. I'm still on Rad Radio, the All 80s podcast, even though that's slowly kind of become a monthly podcast once again. We've got 5 hosts on the show, and scheduling is always an issue. So, Rad Radio's on a little bit of a hiatus. I believe the next episode we're doing is going to be a commentary on The Shining.
Oh.
That's gonna be our Halloween episode.
Funny
too,
enough,
so.
this podcast is also on a monthly hiatus.
Ha!
Why hiata?
And okay, and then real quick, my last couple. Theme Warriors is one of my monthly podcasts. Yeah, I know. I do a lot.
I was 12 years old when you got started with this, Venom.
Oh man! So, like I said, Theme Warriors is a monthly podcast I do with Mike Merriman, and a couple of other podcast hosts from the Horrorphilia network, where we just pick a theme. We each of us pick a movie based on that theme, and then we discuss the theme and the movie and how the movies fit into that theme. That's a monthly podcast. New episodes should be out in the next week or so, and then of course right here on Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space. So I think that's all 8 of them. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing next, so we'll figure it out later. And with that being said, now that Cort is finally old enough to drink, what do you got coming out?
All right, so this is going to be a little exclusive look at the schedule specific to Cinema Psyops that I'm doing just on this show, because I never announce anything, because I'm a prick like that.
Oh, now I'm getting sexy.
Yeah, after we're done recording this tomorrow night, I'm going to be recording the Jess Franco flick Mansion of the Living Dead with the guys from They Must Be Destroyed on Sight. Going to be a bit of a crossover episode. Hopefully we will get all 3 guys, Lee, Paul, and you just blanked on the name for Daniel. Jesus, I can't believe I almost blanked on Daniel.
Hey, I blanked on a Daniel earlier.
Hopefully we'll get all 3 of them. I know for sure that Lee and Daniel are game. I don't know if Paul's going to be able to make it or not, but that's going to be recording this Monday, the 15th of October, and that'll be out the following Sunday. And then our upcoming schedule, Matt's going to have to do the notes for Candy Tangerine Man. That's going to be the following week. And then the week after that, just in time, we're going to do an election special crossover with Darren from the Psychosemantic Cast, also known as the Psychosemantic Podcast. We're going to be covering The Distinguished Gentleman, and it's my goal to do the most dangerous, politically speaking, episode that either show has ever done. So if we can start a riot from this podcast in some way, shape, or form, that's my main goal with that one. And then after that crossover, we're going to have Matt doing the notes for Lady Coco. So we're going to make Matt uncomfortable for at least 3, maybe 4 weeks in a row. And I can't wait for that.
I can't wait for this political episode. While I don't get into politics much on the internets, I'm very political in real life. So I'm excited to see that, because I want to see if we're going to burn everything to the ground.
Well, I kind of had a bunch of ideas that I wanted to do, and I basically am just telling Darren, like, do all the research, because he has background in doing journalistic stuff. Like, so he knows how to do the research. He knows where to find various bits and pieces. So all the outlandish stuff that I want to actually make declarations about and say all the things that are happening in the world today that are being, able to be gotten rid of, I basically threw it to him that as talking points I want to do. And I'm like, find facts to back this up so that we can make the most outrageous claims and have them backed up to be true.
I want to be on this episode. I don't want to talk. I just want to sit there and just take it in live.
It's my goal that by the end of that recording, Matt's going to be like, dude, don't release that. Please, Cort, don't release that.
Well, you know what I say. Fuck them. Like the Catholic Church. Derek, what do you have coming up?
Well, we just recorded our Halloween episode yesterday, actually, and that won't be released till Halloween, unfortunately, but it'll be out. If you haven't listened to our new series that we just started on Cinema Attack, we are doing commentaries now with Jerry's former HorrorPack
HorrorCock?
Harley. HorrorPack, I said.
Oh, I thought you said HorrorCock, and I was like, what? I used to have a horror.
Because I like Redkin's little head.
Yes. The little part at least was right. That's dope. Carly is fantastic. She is a joy to podcast with, so that will be very good.
Yeah, it was fun doing our first one. Of course, it's out now, Ninja 3, The Domination.
Yeah.
We actually have one planned. It's coming out probably after the week of November 3rd. I don't want to really tell you the title of the movie yet. I'll just say it's Italian themed to give it a hint.
Okay, pizza.
Well, you'll see.
Yellow?
When it gets a little more closer, I'll give like a hint on the Facebook group.
Black gloves.
No.
All right. Was that it for you?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Plus the Halloween episode's coming up soon. When we did, I can tell you what we did on it. We did Flesh Eater, the Bill Heinzman 88 classic. Yeah, our thoughts on that. And then we also did, and then we also did The Barn, of course, from a few years ago.
Okay. All right. Mr. Don Anelli, what do you got coming up?
All right. Well, we just finished a series on our show where we did Shame on Us No Longer, where the four of us each took a movie that we thought was a shame for us to have not seen for as long as we've been a horror fan. So we split it up into two shows. We did The Mist and Tourist Trap for the one episode, and then we did The Ruins and Bone Tomahawk for the other. So that was the last couple shows we did, and then we're preparing to do our Halloween episode where we do Battle of the Icons Part 2. It's going to be looking at the entire Halloween franchise versus the entire Texas Chainsaw franchise. So we're going to be covering both franchises on one show.
Why do you hate yourself? I'm just wondering.
You'll have to figure that out because I think one of us is a huge fan of both series.
Fuck. Alrighty then. And for me, Kill the Cast does not give you a Halloween show. We don't really give a fuck about your feelings. There's too many people out there doing great Halloween shows. Go listen to theirs. Halloween's, it's my birthday. It's Kenneth's daughter's birthday. By the way, happy birthday, Jade. Me and you celebrating today because we're both October 14th repping. Also, happy birthday.
It's my sister's birthday, too, today.
Happy birthday to Derek's sister. And happy birthday to the guy who directed Creature from the Black Lagoon. I can't remember your name. And
Jack Arnold.
Him. And happy birthday to Usher. And happy birthday to Shaggy Two Dope. Those are all the October 14th birthdays I can think of. On this day, this blessed day in 1988, the world was given Night of the Demons, Pumpkinhead, and me. So,
You also forgot the most important thing. Happy birthday to my co-host, Big Bill.
Oh, well, I was talking about the important stuff.
So was I.
Yes, Big Bill also celebrates this birthday with me. I think next year I'm going to try to set up something for me and him to do a special birthday show together. Just because I think it'd be interesting. So yes, also happy birthday to the Bill. He's not going to listen to this at all. So
nah, he doesn't even know I do a monster show.
Yeah, exactly. But nonetheless, this is what I'm doing for my birthday. I'm recording with you guys. So there we go. What is Kill the Cast doing? I mean, we've been shitting our pants lately. We have
Horror Coliseum stuff.
Yes, we just did Horror Coliseum Part 4, Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, and Nightmare on Elm Street for the Dream Master. And we did that with Brian M. Sammons. And it was a glorious episode. So coming up in November, I know the next two shows are the next three. We have the next three shows planned. I don't know what order we're going to do them in, but the next three shows will be somewhere in. There is going to be a Jerry Hates Action. There's going to be a Horror Coliseum, and there's going to be a Derek made us watch these three movies trifecta. So those are things that will happen eventually once the world stops throwing hurricanes and new jobs and shit like that at my life. So yeah, that's another reason we're not doing a bunch of shit in October. I've got too much shit going on. I can't handle it. So you get you got Horror Coliseum Volume 4, and you get this, and that's all you get. Kill the Cast will come back in November, with episodes of things, sexual fan service. We're still trying to get a porno commentary going. Kenneth
For
will not
ET?
let that go. No, God, no. No German porn. No German porn, sir.
Oh, God,
we don't
no.
do that. No, Kenneth wants to do like a Nightmare on Wet Street or whatever, or like Edward Penis Hands or something. We're trying to get sponsored by horrorporn.com is what we're trying to do. To be honest with you. So, hopefully. But that's it for us here. Thank you, Cort, for joining us. Your check is in the mail.
Well, thanks for having me, guys, and the payment helps.
And I gotta pay people to be on this show. Have you fucking heard it?
Yeah, I listen.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have.
How do you think How do you think he got us to be here? He hasn't paid us for shit.
Mm-hmm.
That is not true, Don. You just haven't received yours because you live in a fucking treehouse.
Hey, I still get. Hey, my carrier pigeons deliver the mail. All right.
Okay,
Hey, but at
well,
least it's a palm tree in California, so it's a nice tree house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a palm tree is the best tree to use for a treehouse.
Well, if you tie 3 of them together.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, great for hammocks. If you lived in a hammock, I'd be backing you up. But either way, thank you guys. This is Underwater Kaiju from outer space. These are our visions from Monsterland. We will see you next time for some non-Godzilla movie and episode 9 of Ultraman. Thank you all. Have a good night. We love you. And all that jazz.
All that jazz.